So, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned in my opening monologue, there are a lot of people in St. Mary's dedicated to building and creating community and some wonderful things in it. And our next guest, I don't know how she's even fit in enough time to appear here tonight. She's one busy lady. Please welcome to our stage, Andrea Macko Hodges.
Hello.
All right, so Andrea does a lot of things, but Andrea's here to talk to us about a time capsule.
Yes.
And so
I am.
We've got that very well cleared up now. Excellent. So where did this idea about doing a time capsule come from?
Well, it actually came from Stratford. I've been helping the Stratford's sesquicentennial. I now know how to say that, and it's August.
You said it very well.
Thank you.
Yes.
I've been helping them with their social media for all of their events this year, and they were actually doing 2 time capsules. They had one digital one and one traditional in the ground one. Oh. And in looking at what St. Mary's had planned, like we had an awesome Canada Day celebration. I think we can all agree on that. It was fantastic. I just got to thinking, why not do a time capsule this year? It's a special year, and we actually have a pretty cool place to bury it in the ground because the Wellington Street Bridge is being dug up and rebuilt.
Oh, so that was going to be one of my other questions is where are you going to put it? So it's going to be at the south end, the north end? We've got that figured out yet?
We believe that it's going to be at the north end of the bridge. It won't be in the bridge because that's, from what I gather, and
structurally unsound?
Well,
perhaps?
not unsound.
Yeah, could be.
Just more challenging and expensive than digging a hole and burying it in the ground.
Right. Okay.
So we're going to go that route.
Okay. So how are we going about figuring out what goes into this time capsule?
Well, I, along with town staff, are sort of finalizing those details now. But the plan, more or less, is to solicit submissions from people in the community via an online form, and there will also be hard copies available at all the usual locations. And then a small committee, I'm on it, Counselor Amy from the museum, and anyone else who's interested in being on this committee will sift through the ideas and kind of make a decision based on what we get from there.
So is this thing, like, how big is this thing? How big things can, like, is it this big? Is it this big? How big is it?
Well, interesting story. You talk about being in a community and me doing all kinds of things.
Yes, yes.
One of the things I do is co-own a funeral home. And we bury things.
Yes.
People, loved ones. So we actually have connections with a vault company. And we have an urn vault. So not a full casket type vault, but an urn vault, which is about 2 by 2 by 2. So it's going to be about that big. So the items for inclusion can't be massive. Right. But you never really see time capsules that are, 8 feet by
I don't know.
4
I don't
feet.
think I've ever seen a time capsule, personally. I don't know that I've ever seen one.
Me either, to be honest.
Right. Okay. So this is kind of new for you. You're just kind of winging it.
It is, but I think we can all agree that time capsules are really cool. If you've ever seen one being opened or contributed to one, they're just a really neat community building project.
Right. So what's the time period? When's it going to get open?
Well, I would in this little plan, I think 50 years is a great time frame because, as many of you know who are from the community, there's people who are born here, live their entire life here, and then pass away here. So people can, kids especially and youth can contribute to this thing and then come back in 50 years and be like, I remember doing this, or, I had a role in making this happen.
Right.
So there's still that connection, like waiting 100 years is nice in theory, but there's not as much of a connection with the community then.
Right. No, that's a great idea. So so we figured out how we're going to protect this. It was going to be in a vault, because that's a question my father-in-law had. He's a very practical man, and the first thing he wanted to know was, ask her how they make sure things are safe in there. So you got that figured out.
Got the vault.
But here's my question, more of like an organizational, administrative point of view is, how do you make sure they know they're supposed to open it up in 50 years? Like, there's going to be different people out there on the town council and that, right?
Oh, absolutely. But the idea is to get a plaque engraved to put either on the new bridge in a tasteful location or right on top of the time capsule, or, something practical, but a plaque saying, time capsule buried here 2017. Please open in 2067.
Right. So we're going to have a ceremony to bury this?
Yes, the plan is to have the ceremony when the grand reopening of the bridge takes place, and that's I don't want to say scheduled, but we all know how building happens, but that's scheduled for around the end of November.
Ah, okay. So if it's not the end of November, I guess you got to wait till springtime.
Well, the ground, it does take a long time for ground to freeze all the way through.
Well, you would know that in your current profession. You would know
yes,
that. You would know all about ground freezing. So yeah. I'll take it from an expert. So like if we said here, the producers here of this show, that we wanted to put something in there from the front porch show, what would be a good thing to put in, maybe a time capsule from this show?
Well, the focus for the capsule is local items of importance. Like we don't want...
Like this show, right? Like this show, yeah.
Maybe, but we don't want we don't want items like, here's a set of Canadian coins, which are cool amongst themselves, but you can see those kinds of items in a museum, online, etc. So what we're looking for are very St. Mary's type items. And, we do have to deal with how technology evolves, which is an issue. So if we keep it really
tactile, tangible.
Yeah, exactly. Tactile and lo-fi, basically, instead of high-tech. Then so more photos, and then that works well in allowing for more items into the vault.
That's right. And when do people need to try and get their submissions into your committee, or even to tell you, hey, hands up, I want to be on the committee?
Well, first of all, if you have a object in mind, see if you can locate it, and the actual object. That's a big help. And secondly, the online submission form and the hard copy forms haven't gone live yet.
Okay.
We're still finalizing.
So people can just start thinking now.
Start thinking now. It's going to be released in the papers and online when the submission form and if you want to help out on the committee request. So that will be made very public. Probably at the rate we're going with this summer, early September. So start thinking now, and then come Labor Day, when all the kids go back to school, start thinking about it in earnest, and we'll go from there.
Great. Well, thank you, Andrea. Thanks for the great idea, and thanks for chatting with us today.
My pleasure. Glad to be here. Thanks.